Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Go to the first canto, 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Dhritarashtra's Om. This purport concentrates on Narad Muni, great sage Narad Muni. Bhagavad describes him as a great sage. Actually, this word sage is practically falling out of use in the English language. Of course, it's used as kind of herb that occurs in Galatians. But in the use of, in the meaning of a spiritual, ascetic, wise man, the usage, at least in England, is practically going out because such people don't exist anymore. And even if they existed in the past, no one's very much interested in their existence. They're interested in Batman, Superman, and all this kind of stupid things. But Prabhupada has introduced topics of Narad Muni in the Western world. And Prabhupada's great gift is that he's not translating the Shastra and giving it as some kind of... Sometimes you'll see books written on ancient Indian wisdom. So, of course, from one point of view, it could be considered ancient Indian wisdom, although the wisdom transcends India. It's not that wisdom is locked up in India. It's a rare commodity here also. But as Prabhupada used to say, when people used to say that we are teaching this Indian knowledge, Prabhupada said, knowledge is not Indian. 2 + 2 = 4 may be taught in the school in India, but it's true anywhere else also. The fact that this knowledge was previously widely spread in India doesn't make it Indian. Knowledge is not, it doesn't belong to any particular nation. It wasn't that Prabhupada came because he wanted to spread Indian culture all over the world. Of course he did, in the sense that this culture has been, in recent times, indigenous particularly to India. Although previously this culture was spread all over the world. But knowledge, culture, wisdom, all these qualities, they are meant for universal application. They are of universal application, though they may have been previously more prominent in India. Narad Muni, he travels all over the universe, so he's giving this knowledge everywhere. Just like the knowledge 2 + 2 = 4, that is universally applicable. So similarly, the knowledge that every jiva is part and parcel of Krishna, that's also universally applicable. It's not that we find in Bhagavad-gita that Krishna says, Amaivangsho Bharatiya Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All the Indians are my part and parcel. He says all the jivas, all jivas, whether born in this life in India or not, are all part and parcel of Krishna. Birth in India is considered a higher birth, inasmuch as the opportunity to take up Krishna consciousness is more in this life. But it doesn't make one intrinsically bad. We'll turn the lights off. It's also part of Krishna consciousness. To be conscious of your electricity and the Krishna service. So Narad Muni is celebrated as a great sage, a very great devotee, guru of many great devotees. He has many disciples who he can be proud of, one of whom is Yudhishthira. He instructed Yudhishthira. Although you may say he's not officially the guru, there's no record of Narad Muni officially initiating Yudhishthira. But he gave him valid instruction. Yudhishthira Maharaj was wise. He's known as a wise person. Part of his wisdom is that he was always anxious to hear persons of greater knowledge. He was quite Actually, he wasn't so much disturbed about living in the forest because he thought that in some ways he wasn't disturbed because he thought we have the opportunity, we can associate with the sages who live in the forest. We can hear instructions from them. And you'll find described in Mahabharata how he would, in the forest, he would regularly take instructions from different sages. And most of the time the family priest of the Pandavas, whose name was, anyone know? Dhomya, he would be with the Pandavas and give them advice and perform rituals like this. So he was a wise person in as much as he appreciated the association of persons who are more wise than he. He was always anxious to take that association. And what better association can there be than Nadu? Of course, he also got the association of Bhishma, who is another Mahajan. He also got the association of Vidura, who is also a Mahajan, one of the 12 Mahajans. He's Yamaraj. And of course, he got the association of Krishna himself. Among others, so many great people who got the association. The greatest of all great people, he got the association of Krishna. So he's a very fortunate person. But he increased his own good fortune by taking association of great personalities, like Narad Muni, or rather, Narad Muni was happy to appear. He would come, he's a liberated spaceman. Prabhupada writes in the previous book, an eternal spaceman. Prabhupada's using the word spaceman as a kind of, seems to me as a kind of dig against them. It's a modern word, spaceman. So it's a dig at the so-called spacemen who they go out into outer space, so we're told, and you come back again, and they're just as foolish as they were when they went. They go up as fools and they come back as fools. That the first man in space, what was his name? Yuri Gagarin? So he said, I saw Moscow. I was looking for Moscow. That was one of his great sayings. Another of his great sayings that I didn't see any God there, so that proves there's no God. Fool. You could say an elevated fool. Not elevated in respect. Fool, nevertheless, a fool. But a real spaceman, he doesn't need any mechanical contraption. But he simply travels by the grace of God. He can travel here and there. There's no limit. You can go anywhere in the material or the spiritual world. But he's not traveling around making stupid pronouncements. Like that was one step for man, one small step for mankind, and one great step. What is it? One small step for man, and one great step for mankind. In the Arizona desert, wherever he was. He doesn't say stupid things like that. But he gives actual knowledge to human society. So interesting, Narad Muni, he's the Guru, he's actually a Shiksha Guru. Of course we use this term, we tend to use this term very loosely. Of course every devotee should give Shiksha to others, should instruct others. But, and anyone actually who's superior in terms of spiritual advancement, especially in terms of time practicing Krishna consciousness, or in terms of age or different factors, they should be considered guru. Although even a young child, if he's spiritually advanced, then older people, they should bow down to him. That is generally a child should bow down to older people, but if a child is spiritually advanced, then he should be offered respect by older people who have older bodies, but who are less spiritually advanced. But actually, there are various gurus. First, his mother, Natri Devo Bhava. First, his mother. Pitri Devo. Father is considered the next guru. Acharya, then the Acharya. So first one is taught in the home. First the mother looks after and sees and teaches someone. Then father, But then at the age of 5 or 7, one is sent to the Acharya, who is the principal guru, who teaches all facets of spiritual knowledge. So there are various categories of guru, but an elderly or experienced person, or anyone who gives instruction, may in one sense be considered a guru. But actually the term Shiksha Guru, that's generally used for persons who, to actually consider one officially as a guru, even if he's not initiated, that requires a high level of commitment on the part of the disciple and the guru. Anyone can give instruction, and in that sense, anyone who gives instruction should be respected by others, but the level of commitment and responsibility of a spiritual guru, whether Diksha or Shiksha Guru, that's a very high level of commitment. You see that Narad Muni, he had that much commitment. You see when he took disciples and he gave them the knowledge. Which kind of knowledge? He is described. Vidhi kritva jahat shuchaha. By his instructions. Tasya vakchaha. By the instructions of Narad, Yudhishthira Maharaj was able to give up all lamentation. So that is the duty of a guru, to give instructions by which one can become free from all lamentation. Everyone in this material world is lamenting because it is the world of disappointment and frustration. So a guru means one who guides the disciple in such a way that they can become free from all lamentation. And how is it possible to become free from all lamentation? Generally people think, I have to get more money, then I can be free from lamentation. Or, this is Maya. They think that I have some miseries in my life, but if I could just get free from them, then I would be free from lamentation. I have some constant pain in my back. If I could get free from that, then I would be free from lamentation. So I tried so many doctors, it didn't work. Let me go to a guru and get his blessings. And then maybe I can get free from the continual pain in my back. So to approach the guru to get free from lamentation, that is correct. But the guru's duty is to teach in such a way that they can actually become free from lamentation, even if he gets them free from a bad back, whatever he may do by his blessings. But actually he should give instruction by which you can be eternally free from lamentation. Because you may be free from your bad back, but then you'll lament in another way, and then you'll have to die and be born again. So death and rebirth, it's all miserable. So the guru should give instruction by which one can become free from lamentation. In other words, by which you can become Krishna conscious. People generally like to go to gurus who give some blessing, or generally they think the guru should give us a feeling of peace, because we're struggling in material life. We should feel very peaceful. But actually, we should peacefully live and be happy in material life. But actually, we should give instructions by which we can become free from lamentation. Not necessarily free from material strife, because this material world is full of suffering. In fact, it's not that by going to the guru will change the nature of the material world. The material world is full of suffering. And the guru is not capable of, or it's not his duty to change that. Rather, he should teach you how to understand this suffering in such a way that you can be free from the effects of it, and free from lamentation. Actually, one who becomes a devotee, those material miseries, that is inherent in the material world, but the devotee's attitude towards them changes. Instead of thinking that these material miseries, they are the cause of my suffering, they should think that I am the cause of my suffering. I am getting this because of my sinful activities. So if he thinks like that, that suffering becomes the impetus by which he can become more Krishna conscious. So he sees the material difficulties as the grace of Krishna. Krishna is so kind. Actually, the devotee thinks I should be suffering much more. Those who are at the very neophyte stage of God consciousness, they think, why is God giving me so much difficulty? I'm good, I believe in God. God should help me to enjoy life more. But one who is more mature in Krishna consciousness, he thinks, actually I'm such a rascal. I should get more and more difficulties. But actually Krishna is only giving me very little, just to remind me how miserable this material world is. So he takes that as an impetus, that I should not become more and more entangled in material life. And I should become fully Krishna conscious. How can he think like that? Because he gets instructions from the proper Guru. You see here Narada is giving instructions by which he can become free from lamentation. Not that he becomes free from the circumstances in which he's in. Narada didn't change the circumstances which he was in. But by giving relevant instructions, he gave Yudhishthira the vision by which he could see through the eyes of knowledge and see, in the same circumstances, see them with a different vision. So that is the gift of knowledge, of transcendental knowledge that the Guru gives. And the effect of transcendental knowledge is that one becomes free from suffering and lamentation eternally. So it's not the duty of a Guru to give benedictions by which you can improve your health and improve your bank balance. It's not his duty. But his duty is to give knowledge by which one can live in this world and become detached from the effects of the modes of material nature, which are always going on. Guna Pravaha, it's called. Pravaha means the flowing. So the modes of material nature are always acting. The one who is transcendently situated, he nashochati nakamchati. He neither laments for that which he lost or that which he wanted to achieve but couldn't, or for the suffering conditions that he may be in. Nor does he hanker for any material gain or any so-called improved material condition. He becomes transcendent. So this is the knowledge that the Guru gives. Now, as I was saying, anyone may give instruction, but the casual instruction, but the commitment to uplift the disciple, that is a very great task. There's the famous story, I never read it, but it's famous, of Helen Keller. Where is she from? Switzerland? America? America, she's from America. She was born blind, deaf and dumb. So she was given a teacher with the task of teaching. How do you teach someone who's blind, deaf and dumb? And somehow, I didn't read the book how it was done. She wrote, after she learned to write and everything, and she wrote her own autobiography. So somehow or other the teacher found out how to teach, even though her sensory perception was so much limited. She was able to make some means of communication, teach her and God. You know that is famous. So, same way, Guru is supposed to be seeing, and the disciple is in blindness. So he has to find the ways and means to. It's difficult. Difficult to teach, because how do you teach a blind man to see? Some disciples, they ask Prabhupada, people are blind, how can we make them see? Prabhupada said, you bring them to me, I will operate. They have cataracts on their eye, I will cut them out. So he removes the ignorance by giving knowledge. That is the exact translation. Ajnana timiram hasya, of one who is in the darkness of ignorance. Jnananjana shalakaya, by applying the ointment of knowledge. Chakshu milita, opening the eyes. Yena tasmai, unto he who does so. Shri Guru Vena, no problem. This is to the Guru who does so. So by giving knowledge, Guru teaches. But giving knowledge is not simply a matter of giving lectures. Otherwise, you could just read everything in the book. But teaching goes on every moment. See, what we learn, we don't just learn from books. In school, just like in school, I remember some of the most prominent things I learned were, anyway, I shouldn't say, things which are not taught in the syllabus. Bad things. How to fight, how to lie, how to cheat, take intoxication and so on. So you learn not only from what is written, what is said, but from the behavior of others. Just like a child, how does he learn to speak? He learns by hearing and repeating. And even mannerisms, just like in India, if you go like this, that means acquiescence. Now, did they teach you that in school? Such a thing? It wasn't taught in school. But you saw other people do that. And you also did. No one said that this means yes, this is Western things. And the rest, at least in India, that means yes. So no one taught that. But just by seeing others and understanding the context, you picked it up. So that's kind of osmotic teaching. You know this word osmosis? It doesn't come in your language. It sounds like it comes from Latin. Osmosis means it's a chemical process by which if one... You know what it means? You know what it means, osmosis. So, two things are separate, but there's one substance is inside a container, the other is outside, but there's a means of communication between the two containers, so that what is in one merges into the other. So in the same way, knowledge that is picked up just by being in proximity with others. That's why we put so much emphasis on association. Sangha karma. According to our association, thus our desires develop. And not only desires, but behavior, attitudes. Attitude is much connected with desire. So we should associate with, just like Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was always anxious to associate with, even though he was greatly elevated himself, he was always trying to find more elevated association. And he was taking instruction. So in the same way, we should seek out association in various ways. There's personal association by literature, which is also very powerful. Therefore, we should be very careful what we read. Even if you read some magazine like India Today, you may think, well, it's just news, information, but it's not. India Today has a very definite message. The message is that we should be modern and progressive and westernized, and everything traditional is useless. They don't write that exactly, but it's implicit in the whole attitude that they convey in their writing. So literature is very powerful. We should be very careful what we read. We should be careful how we make our association. If we associate with devotees who are serious about Krishna consciousness, then that association is very good for us. And generally, as the Prabhupada used to quote the same English saying, birds of a feather flock together. But the swans, they like to associate with other swans. And you'll see, Prabhupada gave the example, that if you find nice, clear, beautiful lakes, then the swans and nice birds like swans and chakravarti. And if you go to the garbage heap, you'll find the crows are making crow-like noises. Like that. So there's a difference in quality. There's a difference in quality between a swan and a crow. A crow is very low bird, eating all kinds of garbage. Very, how can we say, self-confident and proud, the crow. The crow doesn't care for anything. bully every other smaller bird, bully, chase them out. So we should not associate with, Prabhupada used to speak of crow-like men and swan-like men. Paramahamsa. Swan-like man. And crow-like person, that's mentioned that verse. Vayasam tirtam. Tad vayasam tirtam shanti manasa. Yatra hansa. Something we should say that verse. This verse from Bhagavatam compares men who are like swans and men who are like crows. Those who are like crows, they go to Vayasam Tirtha. Prabhupada, he describes like cinema halls, gambling casinos, brothels. These are places for crow-like men. They congregate together, they come together. Vayasam Tirtha. Nayatra Hamsa Niramanti Shiksha. But those swan-like men, they don't go to such places. They congregate in other places. They like to congregate where there is discussion of Krishna. They like to come and hear about Krishna. Whereas others, they may like to hear this political propaganda. Or even if you don't want to hear them, they'll make sure you hear it all day. They're making the propaganda. But you can hear the tone of the voice, you can hear, actually very demoniac. They're making political propaganda. I don't know which party it is, whatever it is. Just from the tone of the voice you can understand. These are crow-like men. So devotees, they're not very much interested in this. But they are interested to hear about Krishna. We're hearing about, we have a discussion of great devotees, Nara, Vidura, Yudhishthira. First their discussion about Krishna. The next chapters of Bhagavatam, which will begin. Next verse. The disappearance of Lord Krishna. So we'll find how the great devotees, Yudhishthira, Arjuna, how they were affected by the disappearance of Lord Krishna. What are their feelings? They had such feeling for Krishna. And stupid people, they have feelings for meaningless people. Princess Diana, when she died, there's a worldwide lamentation. She's just a prostitute. There's no other way. By behavior, she's just exactly a prostitute. Oh, people, they loved her, such fools. There's that story of Sargal Singh. One man was lamenting. You know this story? They all know. One man was lamenting. Oh, crying. Another man saw him. And just by he was lamenting so much, he also thought, what's the problem? Sargal Singh has died. Who is Sargal Singh? Sargal Singh was my life companion, my best friend. Oh, he died? Oh. Then I also feel lamentation. So then he also started lamenting. And then someone saw him in lamenting, and then they also started lamenting. And then the whole town, they declared all the shops closed because Sargal Singh, such a wonderful personality, was dying. And then king passing through, he saw everyone was lamenting. And what happened? Sargal Singh is dying. Who is that? I'm the king. I never heard of such a great personality. How is it? I'm not lamenting also. I know all the great personalities in the kingdom. Who is this Sargal Singh? Yes, who is Sargal Singh? Wow. Not really sure, actually. But anyway, everyone says he was a very wonderful person. Now he's died, so we're lamenting. So, what is this? Let us find out. Who is this Sargal Singh? We made an investigation. So they eventually got back to the original man who was lamenting and asked, who is this? Who is this Sargal Singh that you're lamenting for? And everyone else is also lamenting. He said, oh, he was my life's companion, my greatest friend, such a faithful servant you could never see. Who exactly was he? He was my donkey. So like that, people are lamenting. Princess Diana has died. When John Lennon died, then he was shot dead. Great donkey of the Western world. So someone in America, when they got that news, they also shot themselves dead. And he's dead, I can't live. Such foolishness. It's just a complete mess. It contributed greatly to the degradation of the modern age. So, you should know who to have feelings for. When he had such feeling, he shot himself in the head. Or the Princess Diana, there are people coming and crying, great outpouring of grief. But by lamenting for such a person, what is the value? No value. So everyone has feelings, but our feelings should be for Krishna. Devotees are following rules and regulations, but that's important. But it's not that simple. Prabhupada said actually by military discipline, but it's not just doing this and that, just like in the military. But what are the feelings for Krishna? Narad Muni, that song is there, Narad Muni Bhajai Vina, Radhika Ramana. He was chanting with his Vina, chanting the names Radhika Ramana. But as a result of his ecstasy, all the great demigods, they also started chanting and dancing, because by his association, by his powerful kirtan, all the great demigods, their feelings for Krishna became enlightened and awakened. So, actually that is wanted, that we develop our feelings for Krishna. What's the actual meaning of Bhakti Yoga? Of course, one should not simply make a show of it. That's also not wanted. But Krishna consciousness means to be conscious of Krishna. To think of Krishna. And Krishna is the most wonderful person. And Krishna consciousness teaches us to be personal in love, to have feelings, loving feelings for the Supreme Person, Krishna. Therefore our acharyas have given us so much information about Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is special. There are so many Puranas, but this is Bhagavad Purana. In this Bhagavad Purana, the subject matter is Krishna. Love for Krishna. The discussion is about Krishna in his different incarnations, but especially it's aimed at the 10th canto and all the incarnations. They're all very wonderful. All the different stories. All the stories in Bhagavatam, foolish people say, oh, these are just stories. But they are narrations of devotees, how they surrendered to Krishna, how they had so much feeling for Krishna, like Bali Maharaj. He conquered the whole universe, but he had more feeling for Krishna than for all his possessions. And even as the king of the Asuras, naturally he had some affection for them, but his affection for Krishna was more than his affection for all his family members, his so-called guru. His feelings for Krishna were more. In a moment he was ready to give up for the sake of satisfying Krishna. Therefore he became famous as the great devotee. So all the great devotees, they have feeling for Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj is described as Krishna Graha, which means he was overcome by sometimes it's said Grahagrasta, a madman is said to be as a Grahagrasta. It means he's affected by a certain planet. And so if you see during the Purnima, the crazy people, they become more crazy. That's how in English you have the word lunatic. They're affected by the lunar influence. So Grahagrasta means that you're affected by a certain planet and you become, your grasta means your whole consciousness is overcome by that and you become like a crazy person. So Prahlad Maharaj is described as Krishna Graha. He's overcome by Krishna. He's so much overwhelmed by thoughts of Krishna that he's like a madman. Sometimes. So that is required. A devotee lives in this world responsibly, just like we see the Guru is described here. He's performing his duty as advisor to Dhritarashtra. And as Yamaraj, he's performing his duty or punishing those who are inimical to Krishna. So he may perform his duty in this way. Underneath, always, his feelings for Krishna. He may not show them. He may or may not. Sometimes he may not be able to hide them also. But generally, he performs his duty responsibly as a devotee. But his feelings for Krishna, that is the most important thing in his life. He's serving Krishna, and naturally, the feelings for Krishna develop by that service. Because a devotee serves Krishna without any expectation of personal return. You can work in the Ford Motor Company. Now they have a big plant just south of Madras. So you can work with them all your life, but you don't get any feelings for the boss of the company. You may do something. You may feel, I'm proud to be a Ford worker. That's that kind of illusion. But you don't have any particular feeling. It's a job. You do a job and you get paid. That's all. But when you work for Krishna, you don't get paid. You're not pure devotees. They're not cultivating material emolument that we shall get. I will serve Krishna, and then Krishna will give me a house, a car, a TV, a fridge, a blender, a VCR, a microwave, and all these things. But they're simply serving Krishna. That Krishna, He Bhagavan Prasida to me. My dear Lord, please be satisfied. All I am requesting, please be satisfied with my service. May I serve you in such a way that you will be satisfied. I'm doing everything only for your satisfaction. So if one serves Krishna like that, then Krishna will bless him with Prem Bhakti. That is his. He doesn't even ask, but Krishna rewards him. And Krishna may test. What do you want? You want a house, a car, a wife, a home, a position, power, you may test. But if a devotee doesn't want all these things, just like Prahlad Maharaj, when Nrsimha came, he said, well, you worshipped me so long, you went through so many difficulties, what do you want? And Prahlad said, no, don't try to cheat me by giving me some material benediction. I didn't worship you for that. I didn't worship you like a merchant, that now I did so much service, so now I get a lump sum reward at the end. No, I didn't serve you for that. And Sringadev can give everything. He said, no. I only want that I will be recognized as your servant. So you make me your servant. So that's why bhakti, that's one of the qualities of bhakti that's described at the beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita. Sudurlabha. It's very difficult to get bhakti. Krishna, He may easily give bhukti or mukti. Material enjoyment or mukti. If you want, He's Varadaraja. He's the best of givers of benedictions, material benedictions. If you want, you can. People are going to Varadaraja in Kanchi, Balaji, Govinda, Srinivas in Tirumala. They are asking for some material benediction. You must be getting, otherwise why so many people are going? If it didn't work, they wouldn't be going. Just like you elect a president, he says we'll do so many things for you. And if he doesn't, then in America they voted for the president. And if he doesn't, then after 4 years they throw him out. That's all. So if they weren't getting benediction from Srinivas, then they wouldn't go. They must be getting. So thousands of people, lakhs, he's giving. Or even mukti, he will give easily. His name is Mukunda, relatively easily. But bhakti he doesn't give easily. Because by bhakti, because the devotee doesn't take, the devotee is very clever, he doesn't take anything material, he doesn't take any personal benediction from Krishna. So by that, Krishna comes under the control of the devotee. He's tied up, he becomes indebted. If someone serves you, you have to give something in return. That is the law of the universe. Krishna is also, of course he doesn't have to, but he's not an ingrate. Ingrate means not grateful. He's grateful. Krishna has all good qualities. He's not like some Stalin that forces people to serve and doesn't give them anything in return. He's willing to give anything and everything to those who serve. So, if you serve, but you don't take any personal benediction, then Krishna, what has he got left to give? He's only got himself left. So he has to give himself to the devotee. That's, you'll find in Gita, Krishna says, as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly, Krishna says. But in the case of the gopis, Krishna admitted that I've broken my promise. You forced me to break my promise, because the way you're serving me, I cannot reciprocate. You're serving me so well that I have nothing to give you in return. Therefore, you can be satisfied simply with the prema bhakti. That is your reward. Even Krishna gave himself to the gopis. But he considered that even giving myself is not sufficient reward for the kind of service that they are giving. So this, such bhakti, that makes material conditions seem very insignificant. Here we see that Narad Muni, he was giving instructions by which Yudhishthira could be free from lamentation. But if one comes to the position of pure devotional service, then material lamentation, it seems completely insignificant. It's like a straw standing in the way of a flood. If the flood of love of God enters one's heart, then material difficulties and lamentations seem, they're just very insignificant in comparison. That's why devotees, they can, you see, Prahlad Maharaj, he could go through so much difficulty. Why? What for? Why didn't he cooperate with his father? Why? If he cooperated with his father, then he would share in his kingdom. His father did so many austerities to get the power that he had, and all Prahlad Maharaj had to do to inherit the kingdom of his father, he didn't have to do any difficult austerities like Hiranyakashipu. All he had to do was just cooperate with him as he would expect any son. The father had affection for his son, so he would automatically inherit the kingdom. But instead, he chose to be tortured by Hiranyakashipu. Why? Because he wanted Vishnu Bhakti. He wanted to serve Krishna. So a difficult situation, an extremely difficult. But he accepted that. For a devotee whose heart is full of love of Krishna, then material lamentation it becomes insignificant. So we can judge which level of bhakti we're on. We're so much affected by material conditions. But we should take instruction by associating with devotees. And of course, it's very difficult to get very advanced association, but at least we can also associate with great devotees by discussing their transcendental qualities. Discuss what are the qualities of Nadu, what are the qualities of Yudhishthira. We have these classes. So we can discuss, we can consider, we can apply our intelligence to consider what are the qualities of great devotees. And of course, all great devotees have many great qualities. Some represent some qualities more than others. Just like it said about the exhibited great humility, Haridas Thakur, great tolerance and forbearance. Damodar Pandit, he showed how a devotee should not simply be sentimental, but he should objectively discriminate. And Ramananda Rai is famous for having completely conquered all the lusty desires. So all devotees, they have qualities, but some demonstrate some qualities more than others. But the basic quality of all devotees, from which all their other qualities develop, is their full surrender to Krishna, their fully developed love for Krishna, their willingness to do anything and everything for Krishna. from which everything else comes. So, there are different stages in devotional service. In the beginning, we learn to overcome all material lamentation by taking instruction from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Understanding this material world is temporary. We are not of this material world. We are eternal spiritual beings, part and parcel of Krishna. So we take these instructions. We learn how to serve Krishna. And then we learn how to serve Krishna in a selfless manner. That is the training. How to serve Krishna in a selfless manner. Of course, in this material world, you can do service. Generally, perfection is not. If you work in the Ford Motor Company, you have to have some level of competence, but some allowance is made for human error. And you have inspectors come around and inspect this. And if it's found that someone's not doing his job properly, repeatedly, then he's thrown out, given a warning, and then thrown out. But if you go to the Rolls-Royce factory, then there's no allowance for making mistakes. Everything has to be perfect. That's why you buy a Rolls-Royce car, it will cost maybe $200,000 for one car. Because everything should be perfect. It should be built in such a way that it will, even after 50 years, it will be as perfect. So, Krishna consciousness is training not how to be a Ford company worker, how to be a Rolls-Royce worker. Because Krishna has to be served, not in a 70% way or 80% way or 90% way, but 100% way. That is the Vaikuntha is known. There's nothing less than that. So of course, the reality is that mostly devotees who are serving Krishna, they're not even qualified to work in the Ford factory. Sweeping the streets or something. But even the street sweeper has to do his job properly. But the training should be such that we don't become satisfied with done it, okay, let it go. Everything's okay. It's okay. It's not quite up to say, okay. No. And then you're not fit to enter the spiritual world. If the service is 90%, then you can maybe go to Brahma Loka. Then you have to become more purified and go to Krishna. Krishna, to serve Krishna properly, has to be very perfect. Absolutely to the standard. So that training should be. You should always strive to improve. Discrepancies not acceptable. Of course, we have to accept. Otherwise, no one could be. If we insist on perfection in the beginning, then no one can be trained. Training means it's understood that someone is in an imperfect position, but they're trying to come to the perfect position. It's understood that mistakes will be made on the way, or not even mistakes, one doesn't even know what to do or why you should be doing it or any such thing. So training is a very detailed process. But one shouldn't think that, okay, before I didn't know anything, now I know some things, that's enough for me. And we'll just keep this low standard. Or 70% standard, 80%, should come to 100% standard. That's why we should always see how is Krishna being served. Sometimes I think that it's good that sannyasis in our movement travel around, because at least, not in every place, but in many places, before the sannyasi comes, devotees will clean. So at least the cleaning gets done from time to time. The sannyasi comes. But actually it shouldn't be like that. It should be that you can come any time and it will be nice. The standard should be maintained. It's not that there should be one stand when the sannyasi, then sannyasi, and immediately the stand drops down again. Sometimes we see everyone's on their best behavior, attending all the programs, doing everything very nicely. And as soon as Guru or sannyasi goes, then immediately. But it shouldn't be like that. It should come up to the proper standard and maintain that. And actually, if the disciples don't do that, then how are they going to be gurus in future themselves? Because they have to train in future, and they have to train. They have to train others who are coming. Not that the guru will personally train every single person. They entrust senior disciples to train others, so they have to be a guru standard also. Vidhi kritva, keeping the vachat tasya vidhi kritva, keeping the instructions of Narada in his heart, ajahat chuchaha, he gave up all lamentation. Nagmuni went away, but his instructions remained within the heart of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Therefore he was able to give up all lamentation. You should take those instructions, keep them in the heart. Keep them in the heart means not only keep them in the heart, but they have to manifest in our behavior also. Not that someone says, well, Prabhu, why are you watching all this nonsense on TV? But in my heart I'm thinking of Krishna. Not like that. What is in the heart must manifest outside also. So take the instructions in the heart and then act in such a way that is pleasing to Krishna. This will lift us from the material platform to the spiritual platform. Hare Krishna. Any question?
Because very difficult to follow something. Although we know that everything is there and how to follow it. Sometimes really mind is pushing for different.
Therefore we have sadhana. We have rules and regulations and standards. Even though we may think, I don't like to do this, but as a matter of duty we do it. And then when we do it, we find it's not so difficult anyway. It's only Maya suggested.
I see when I'm more pushing and I'm more put, something in the mind become more busy.
So therefore we have the argument that just be natural. Just be natural. Don't try too much. Don't try too hard. Just be natural. Because we are insane, we need sadhana. Pure devotees, they don't need rules and regulations because they're not insane. They naturally serve Krishna. But we need rules and regulations because we are insane. We're thinking, why should I chant Hare Krishna? Why should I serve Krishna? So Maya will test us. If we think, let me be very comfortable, let me not struggle to be Krishna conscious, let me be very comfortable. Just, if I feel like it, I'll do a little chanting and service, then I'll be comfortable. But that is Maya. If we think we'll be comfortable in this, the so-called comfort of this material world is a source of all distress. So Maya may dictate to us that serving Krishna is the cause of our distress. But what is it? It's just Maya. That's all. So we have to conquer it. Jahi Shatram Mahabhahu Kamarupa Durasadam. O mighty armed, Krishna says Arjuna, overcome this enemy of lust. Durasadam, difficult to overcome. Difficult. but not impossible. It's possible. Lust means, apart from sexual feelings, it means the desire to be anything but Krishna conscious. Desire to enjoy something. In Ayurveda there's a word, one kind of disease is called asadhya. It means untreatable. There's nothing you can do. There's no sadhana for it. There's no cure. But in Krishna consciousness we have sadhana and we have sadhya. Sadhya is our goal. Love of Krishna. There's a sadhana. So it appears, our condition appears to be asadhya, incurable. But everything is possible by the mercy of Krishna. Practically we are impossible cases. But by the mercy of Krishna, everything is possible. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Bhagavatam ki jai.